Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. I am Debbie G, and I am here with our beautiful co-host Michele Garcia from Cielo Spiritual Foundation and Sober Living. Hey, gorgeous.
Hi there, Debbie. Another day, another Wednesday.
It's another Wednesday. Okay, and today is going to be seriously like rock star stuff, y'all. We have somebody coming on, and he's going to be here shortly. His name is Ken Seeley. He's a highly respected certified intervention professional, and oh my stars, a special friend of Michelle's, and very well respected in the industry. We are so excited, and he's going to be here in just a moment. And you know what we're going to be talking about, Michelle?
Yes, emotional wellness, and also like just wellness in a spiritual light.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about the currency of mental and emotional wellness. And what if, and here's a big question, audience, what if true wealth had nothing to do with money? And on this exclusive edition of Wealthy Wednesday, Wealthy Wellness Wednesday, we're going to bring on Ken Seeley, A&E's interventionist, and he is a spectacular, incredible, vibrant light in this world. And Michelle, he's behind the stage right now. Shall we bring him up?
Yeah. Can I say a few words about him too?
I'm kind of hoping you do.
Okay, good. So, um, I first met Ken back in 1991 in West Hollywood. Just new to recovery myself, and I have to say he was probably one of the most warm and welcoming souls I got to meet. And I'm so lucky that when I moved to the desert, the Coachella Valley area, Palm Springs, actually walking right into a conference he was leading and he had put together
Yeah.
at the time Hard Rock Hotel. He was just like so I could tell excited to see me and welcoming, and I got to be a part of that. And then that community, I moved there, he was there, and I was so thankful because it's nice to have people in your new communities that you know and respect and can learn from. And I certainly did learn from him. I got to go to his case management intervention training he had put together there for everybody, and I got to travel the world with him and in my class, learning different modules of different aspects of intervention and case management, ethics.
Yeah.
Oh, so many interesting things. And, I feel like I got a tremendous amount of support from him and his, he launched sober livings with outpatient programs, detoxes. He did so much while in his time here in the desert. He definitely left a legacy and just in that arena. Never mind the fact that he has his TV show 911 intervention where he's won Emmys for. I just read. I didn't even know that, but like I know that my community loved watching his show, and it's so great to see interventions happening in a way that reaches a lot of people, so that people get on board with like living life sober. And he's always supported my businesses and send to everyone. And when I started the retreats, he would send his whole centers to come and enjoy it. And that meant a lot to me, and it always does. And even now, like, his centers will come, even though he lives in Hawaii now, which I recently got to see him there. And they supported my conscious recovery meetings here that I hold. So just, it's so beautiful to meet people who support each other, because we need each other. And that's that emotional, wealth that I get, when we're
Right.
interconnected with people who are like-minded, who have the same mission, who value, sobriety. And he would come and speak at the big coalition meetings in the park and share his story so transparently, so fueled with true recovery in a lots of different areas. There's not a lot Ken can't speak to that he hasn't, done the work around, which I love because I too am multidimensional in the way that I
I
had
love
to,
that. Right.
embrace
Well, we're
my
gonna bring
personal.
we're I love it. We're gonna bring
So,
Ken up. This isn't
yay.
your ordinary conversation. This is a conversation about emotional health and wealth and uh, emotional sobriety. That was a word that Ken uses that I absolutely love. And Ken, welcome
Thank
all the
you.
way from
Thank
Hawaii.
you. Hey, how are you? So good to see you.
Did you hear our intros?
I did.
Okay,
And
good.
I was thinking the same thing about you. That I was like, oh, I remember her from way back then and how welcoming and how loving and supportive you have been and inclusive and, joining the Sober Living Coalition and you guiding me and showing me how to get around. I was like, oh my God, she's talking about herself in this
No.
intro.
You're so sweet. I love it. I love it. Yes. Well, energy is reciprocal. I'm glad to hear that. I definitely, it makes me feel good. So,
I
Yeah.
love it. Well, Kim, we're going to dive in. I'm so excited to connect with you and meet you. Hello, I'm Debbie, and I want to take a dive down. What is the real currency of success? Emotional intelligence, mental resilience. What is that real currency?
I think it's really the people that are willing to dig down deep and do the work. Like it's kind of like the hardest thing to do in the world, right? Like to surrender
Totally.
and say, I'm ready to do whatever you tell me to do, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I think that's the hardest thing to do.
I know.
And I think that currency, once you do it, like so many people, I got a call at 5 o'clock this morning from somebody needing help. And for I would say like 6, 8 months, he's been needing help. And he just, oh yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And then finally today he was like, tell me what I need to do. I'll do anything. Please help me. And the currency is that willingness. I think it's that
Mm,
willingness. And now he's going to start IOP tomorrow. And that
nice.
open-hearted willingness to do whatever it's going to take to fight for the life that you deserve. I think that's it. If you have that, you have it's like getting $1 billion. You don't need $1 billion because you have the tools necessary to give you that amazing life of your dreams.
Wow. Oh, I have a question for you. So, um, I know that you advocate and you advocate beautifully in a multitude of different ways. But for yourself personally, can you share a story that was like one of your favorite, most meaningful turning points in your capacity to dive deeper into the work and then the breakthrough that came from that?
Oh my God. Well, one of the ones that's a rough one because I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable here, okay?
Okay.
I don't I don't like that question, but I
Sorry,
do because
but it's
I do
juicy. It's yummy.
That was so good.
right? It is like what was it that got you to a turning point to make another breakthrough is what I heard, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it was years ago when I was down in Palm Springs and we just opened up our sober living. And let me see if I could get my face better in here because it's awful dark, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me
Yeah. I can hardly see you.
Yeah, let me see if I could. Sorry
So
about that.
Hawaii glare.
I know I couldn't see, what it looked like before I got on, so I couldn't tell. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I think it's still kind of bright, but
I know. What is it? Let me see.
You want to face the light.
Oh, go the other
Just,
way?
yeah.
the light behind you, you mean? Yeah.
Okay, let me try that. Sorry.
No
Oh,
problem.
no, we're good. Everybody, we just kind of jumped right into it because we were running out of time and we are
Oh,
perfectly
that's a little
fine.
better. Now you could see.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yay.
All
okay.
right. So we're going to hold space while Ken gets vulnerable.
Uh-oh. So, I don't, I didn't really make it public, before because it's kind of embarrassing and shameful, right? Like when I had my sober living down in Palm Springs, the CEO of one of the treatment centers that referred a lot to us, Krista, you remember her, right?
Hmm.
Michele, she said, "Oh, I'd love to go to lunch with you." And I'd be like, and I was like, "Oh, I love seeing Krista. She's so sweet and so kind and so loving." And so Eric and I get up, go to lunch with her and we sit down and she's like, some of my clients at my treatment center are complaining because they say that you yell at them because they don't do what you expect them to do.
Oops. I'm sorry.
Oops,
Okay.
daisy. You were yelling. Okay.
Okay. And it was because it's so simple to stay sober and to do the right thing. But then they sleep with other clients and they do what we do in early recovery. They
Right.
break all the house rules and they do all these things. And But I'm thinking it's so easy. And I was like, yeah, but I'm just trying to tell them that this is easy. She was like, they're not understanding your communication skills.
I get it,
They were.
Ken.
Okay. I was like, here's like this woman that I put on a pedestal because I love her so much, and she's,
Mm.
such a good friend and such a, an amazing person. And, now she's telling me that what I heard is you're a piece of crap. You're no good.
Oh,
Why are
that had
you,
to have been tough. Yeah.
why
Yeah.
are you hurting my clients? Right?
No,
Why are you, abusing my clients? That's what I heard. But that's not the way she said it, but that's the way
of
my
course.
brain
Yeah.
works, right?
Right.
And so John Southworth, you remember him, of course,
Oh,
our
God
dear
rest his
friend.
soul. What a love. Yes.
And so him and Eric, we all sat down and they did a little intervention on me and said, maybe you need to go to treatment for a couple weeks to get an assessment
Mm.
about, my dad always jokes with me and says, remember you went away for anger management and it didn't work? I said, you went to treatment for anger management and it didn't work. But so I went to Pine Grove and I went
Mm.
for 2 weeks and I ended up staying 11 weeks for,
Nice.
doing the PHP program, professional enhancement uh, program
Mm-hmm.
at Pine Grove. So it was like a breaking point for me. Like something isn't working in my life. And this is when I had like 23 years sober. So it wasn't like I was, new or something. It's just, this is how the disease works. It's going to hit you all different ways at all different times in your recovery. So
Mm.
I just want to say, like, but it's that you really do challenge yourself. I have one sober house. You had several with outpatients, with massive stuff. So I'm just saying, like, you definitely enlarged your life massively. So when we do that, yeah, we have to step up our recovery to match that, I guess, and I'm so thankful you do that, and so go on. It's like,
yeah, it's true though. Like, and I always say, like, if I'm not willing to do the work, then how can I ask other people to do the work, right?
true, true, yeah.
So then
That's a big one.
when I had 28 years sober, people were telling me like trauma is a big thing. And I was like, oh, I never really been physically abused or mentally abused, growing up, in my household. Everything was amazing. Had a normal childhood, but I realized like every day going to school was like walking on the front lines of a war zone because I was bullied every day.
Oh.
And
Mm.
from 4 to 14. So then I
Mm.
went to Spirit and I did 6 weeks of it was I think they were like 5 days each time. So 6 work weeks. I went and I did some trauma work on myself within a year. And that was another thing that opened up my eyes and really took me to another dimension where now it's all about trauma, right? It's all
Right.
about trauma. So that's all it is
Completely.
art,
That's like what
right?
they say. If
Yeah.
you're not even doing treatment if you're not doing trauma work.
Yeah, you're not.
Well,
You can't.
Right.
I just love this because you're talking about something that's really close to my heart. I mean, we talk about this all the time and about the trauma that lives in our bodies and about the
Yes.
things
Yeah.
we're not taught to move that through.
Yeah.
So, but I really want to get into the anger thing because I mean, quite frankly, I resonate with you so hardcore. I
It's so
have
embarrassing.
It's so fucking embarrassing. Oh my God. Like, I mean, nobody wants to come out here and talk about the fact that they might be sometimes a little bit on the asshole side. But okay, but I want to honor you for doing it because I've done it so many times.
It's-
Yes.
I mean, Lord geez. And Michelle, look we all can, I think, when you're a strong personality and you love so deeply, and it shows us a lot about your heart, Ken, about
Yeah.
the depth of
Yeah.
who
He's
you
passionate.
are. You
You
get, yeah,
are.
exactly. You care so much that you're willing to piss someone off if that's what it takes for them to hear you. And quite frankly, I just think that that's some badassery right there. And a warrior you are. Woo! So I
Thank
thank
you.
you for your anger. Thank you for your passion and for sharing what you had to do to walk through that. What 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 is one
Yes.
of the tools that came forward for you in dealing with anger? I'd love to know.
I think one of the tools is number one, identifying, the traumas and really, connecting with it. And then I got, certified to be a certified trauma professional through that process. And, I've been so fortunate, like at my treatment center, I was able to do trauma eggs with my clients.
Yeah, I remember that. You told
Oh,
Remember
me.
can you
them?
please tell me? Tell me.
Oh my God, they're one of my favorite tools in the world to help people through trauma
I'm
Hmm.
so
because
excited.
yeah, Tom Pecca and Judy Crane with Spirit to Spirit, they trained us how to do them. And but I love doing them because the trauma egg is you draw like on this big board, you draw a circle like an egg, and then you start at the bottom at your earliest trauma that you recall, and then
Hmm.
you go to the top to your current age, and you
Hmm.
draw pictures of each trauma that happened to you.
Oof.
So like some
Hmm.
of the ones that were in my egg were like I always say, at 2 years old, that was the first one I remembered. And, my parents bought a sister home, and I was like, what the fuck is she doing here? Hello? We were fine. We don't need someone else because all the attention was on me, right? What is
Oh,
all
dear.
this? We don't need
That's
this.
Oh my
that's
God.
real.
Who's ended up being my best friend and, the one I connect with the most in this entire world. But I didn't
I
see
love
that
it.
at 2 years old coming.
First.
I was like,
First, wait, how did she get here?
right? What
That's
is this
funny.
all
Yeah.
about? How come I'm being ignored now? And then when I went to school, like preschool, 4 or 5 years old, I remember like climbing under a table and just sitting there waiting for the class to end so I could go home, petrified of
Oh.
everybody. And,
Mm.
being invited to a birthday party because none of the kids really wanted to hang out with me. And then I was so excited. I went home. I said, oh, I got an invitation to a birthday party. And my mom took me shopping to get a gift, and I was so excited to show up with the gift. And I sat in the room with the kids to play. And the minute I came to the room, they all went to a different room. And so just stuff like that, getting on the bus and my hat being taken and thrown, and everybody laughing, throwing it back and forth,
Mm.
like trying to, and if I cried, they'd make more fun of me. And so I would just have to let it go and lose the hat and act like it didn't bother me, it just being picked on a
What?
sports
What?
team.
Why do you think that like you weren't like socially accepted? I see you as you're so not in your adulthood. Like I can't even fathom. What was it like? Was it the demographic of people? I mean, what was it about you?
It's part of that gene, I feel like, because I look at pictures of myself and I wasn't funny looking. I was like, why
Right.
did I have such low self-esteem? What was wrong with me? Like I had
Right.
so low self-esteem that in third grade, I couldn't concentrate on reading because I was so petrified of the class and the other students that I failed third grade because I
Oh
wasn't
my
keeping up in reading. So
God.
again, but that ended up igniting and saying, oh, there is something wrong with you. See, you're right. You are a piece of crap.
Mm,
You aren't smart
mm,
enough. You aren't like the other people. And
mm-hmm.
so it just reconfirmed that, the inner critic voice talking to me that you're no good.
Yeah.
So that went on from 4 to 14. And then at 14 is when I started drinking and doing drugs. And,
Oh,
you
young.
know, then it just, changed. And I was like, oh, I don't care what people think when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Mm. Lots of interesting things that come up with bullying, but also I think that this is so rampant. It was rampant for my sons because they were big. They were
yeah.
really big. So believe it or not, they got picked on. I am really big. I'm 5'10", and so I also faced a lot of that. I mean, because some kids are really mean.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
some people, and they're projecting their inner world from their experience. The experiences that we receive, it's I wasn't taught to defend myself in that sense, to
Yeah.
shut down or not, and I get that. That's an emotional stuffing that we do. And then you start
yeah,
drinking so that you could,
Yeah.
because you're just trying to be happy, feel normal, but you process
sure.
differently because you're probably very neuro advanced.
Yep, and it's interesting. So you're doing all that work and all those traumas are happening, but what they do is they teach you like survival skills. So you
Sure
learn how to
do.
manipulate quicker, you know how to read a
Mhm.
room quicker, so
Right.
it sharpened all those tools for me, right? It like prepared me for my career. Like when I walk into a room and I see a family that I'm doing an intervention with, I could see who the weak links are. I could see who's going to be the ones that are going to help me get across the finish line. I could feel that because they sharpened all those tools for me.
I
I
love it.
like
Yeah.
it really helped me develop who I am and what my gift is to the world. And, so going back to the trauma egg, what you're doing is you're looking at those patterns when they happen. So they draw the pictures because they use the opposite side of the brain, right? Than
Mhm.
writing it down. So
Mhm.
they draw the pictures, and when they're drawing the pictures, they get in touch with the emotion. So then when they present it in front of their peers at their group, the other people, they're experiencing it in real time, like it happened that day. So the emotions come out with it is what you're hoping for, right? That
Right.
they
Yeah.
get to experience that. But what I look for as they're going through their egg and I take notes is I'm looking for the similarities in their behaviors from each trauma. And then I'm able to tie it together in a bow at the end and saying,
Mhm.
look at this one, look at this one, look at this one. This is where you isolate. This is where you manipulate. This is where you know, all of those things worked fine and dandy during that process to protect you, but
Mhm.
they are part of your illness. And now we need to examine that and look at that to show you like reacting like what I was doing when I get mad at those kids for not doing, I was reacting instead of responding. That
Got
was
it.
a
Yeah.
that was a trauma reaction of
That's so vulnerable.
Yeah. It's spot on. I
it's
mean, that's a good
So
awareness.
good.
but
Hmm.
teaching people that is like such a heaven experience to say you don't have to react like react like a 4-year old, because you're still reacting like that 4-year old. You're shutting down, you're yelling and screaming instead of communicating. So when you acknowledge that, you say, okay, am I going to react to this or am I going to respond to this? And it's a new tool that, I was 28 years sober when I learned this stuff. It's like, I don't want people to have to wait all those years. Let's get it in
Bless your
early
heart.
recovery.
God, yeah, I know, right? God
That was
bless.
that
Yeah.
was a brilliant freaking tool. Y'all,
Hmm.
are you going to respond or react? Or react or
Hmm.
respond? I
But
love how
I
you
think it
talk.
that egg tool really allows you to see the patterns, and that's so helpful. It's not as easy as just making the decision to do that. It's really identifying and walking through it and seeing it. I could just see how that. I'd love to do that here one day. At the house with the client, see how far they can go and how it might be helpful. It's empowering.
Oh, it was
I,
the
I
most powerful thing I ever did in my life. Like to see
Wow.
that. It was so clear as day. It was like, why didn't anybody teach me this in
Yeah,
junior high?
right.
Like,
seriously, they were seriously like they kept all these secrets from us. I don't even understand. That like we did not have to. Okay, because my favorite tool lately has been bilateral eye movement. I'm
mhm,
obsessed. I'm obsessed
yep,
Yeah.
because because it turns both hemispheres of my brain back on.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to activate by turning my eyes in circles afterwards. I'm able to activate my vagus nerve
yep.
Mm-hmm.
and breathe and take a pause. How easy is this?
Right. Yeah.
I
Uh,
mean, really. Can we just, I mean, it's the easiest thing in the world, but yet there's so many people who with these stuck limbic systems and they're stuck in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and they don't even realize it. They say, I don't want to
Yes.
do, but I'm not gonna do the work. I don't want to do the work. I'm not gonna do the work.
Oh yeah, I
They
hear.
could be,
I don't know how to
oh, just,
meditate. I can't meditate.
I can't
I'm
do
like,
this.
don't even like, just don't even, just lay there. You don't have to do anything. That's why I love the sound baths, because it's like, just, you know what, just be.
Yeah.
I
It's
got to do
sneaky.
I got to do a sound
Sound is
bath
sneaky.
actually, for Ken's the property you own, the now treatment center there, for their staff, and that was such an honor, because sometimes the staff get you know um a little overworked, a little
Yeah.
tired, and if they don't quite have enough time because they're so
Yeah.
passionate about doing the treatment work, which can really consume you, and then it's like so vital to bring something like that that can nurture and allow people to have like a
Yeah.
reset.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really beautiful. It means a lot to me because I know what work burnout looks and feels like, and I just like, I just love to be able to give people a break, like a pause, and, a beautiful experience.
Yeah, the
Meditation works.
vibration, right? When you're laying in a sound bath and just the vibration going through every cell of your being. Like
Yeah.
it's a cleanse. And, I
Hmm.
think, having all these modalities available to these newcomers
I
but like
know.
we talked about at the beginning, it's really all about being vulnerable enough to say, I need help. Like that
Yeah.
call this morning, I need help. I'm going to go to the emergency room because my mind is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
And when it gets that bad, that's when we surrender to doing things other people's ways. And the gift of recovery, I don't have to wait for it to get that bad. I could have early warning signs and be guided with support around me, like to go do these
Yeah.
retreats. Like
Yeah.
I love retreats, silent retreats, all those things, because every one of them you learn something new. And that's what, like we talked about John Southworth, he did the trauma retreats with me. And I said, John, he goes, I worked on my trauma. My dad was a prick to me, and I worked on my trauma. I'm 78 years old, 79 years old. And I was like, just go with me. And so he went with me, and he was bursting in tears the whole weekend or the whole
I
week that
love
we were
it.
there. And
Love it.
then he signed up for the next four. He's
Wow.
like, so he went for another 4 weeks. I was like, oh my God. You're only
That's
supposed to do
beautiful.
5. I ended up doing 6 because I loved it so much.
That's
I
so awesome. I mean, because there's layers, right? We find out, it's like the gurus say that there's no end to how much we can evolve. And it's funny because like you get to this one plateau and you're like, oh my gosh, there's more. And then that's when you're ready for even more. Like you go deeper, and it's so meaningful and beautiful. It's like, and I know John Southworth was such an incredible soul to so many lives. He touched
Yeah.
so many lives and
Yeah.
such life-changing way, and that you're a part of that legacy is really neat. And to get to do the work together like that must have been so beautiful for you, like really heartwarming.
Oh my God, it was amazing. It was one of the best gifts in my life because
Yeah.
I always looked at him as being like a second dad because he really, nurtured and cared and,
Mhm.
really he was there for me no matter what. We had such a great relationship. We traveled the world together and, to have that bond with somebody and then going through these experiences with them, it was just like, how can you, it's like the perfect life. Like, how do you get better than this? And that's what recovery is available for every single human being out there. Like, again, I'm always wanting to learn. So I live in here in Hawaii, and there
Yeah.
was an event that Hawaii, I think, is the only state that has a trauma response, division within the state. And
wow.
and they
Wow.
and this woman that's running it, they had a doctor from California that was there, and they
Mhm.
had the governor. So those two were on the panel. And also our governor in Hawaii is a physician also, so he's aware of medical conditions. So
Nice.
the two of them up there talking on the panel about trauma was freaking amazing. Like they
That
were
is.
saying, do an ACE exam, do that test, the ACE test.
Yes.
See she was like, 1 out of 3 people are affected by trauma. 1 out of 3.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, that's everybody you see out here, right? You walk down the
I know.
street, that's everybody. We're
Everybody.
all affected.
Oh, I'm going to tell
Well,
you, it's so funny. People say, "Oh, like they get sober, they're like, I don't have any trauma, but I don't have any trauma." I'm like, look, just the fact that you did drugs was trauma in and of itself. Okay, let's just start there. Okay? Need
The
I say
things you
more?
do.
But we get in like denial, like there's nothing wrong here. Like,
Yeah.
look, I'm already willing to be abstinent. Isn't that enough? No,
What did you do to get the drugs? Oh,
I know, right?
prostitute.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's start
prostitute for
there.
drugs. Oh,
there's
that's not a.
That's precious.
Exactly.
I have to I want to recognize your vulnerability in talking about what that you went through, but I also want to talk about the fact that you made a choice. And choices are really the key in all of this. Somebody has to make a choice to do it differently when the shit's not working, it's hit the fan, your life isn't where you want it.
Yeah.
I say probably necessary to do it differently. I love that you said you might need to do it another person's way for a while.
Yeah.
Try a different way. And so I just wanted to appreciate that. And we are going to take just a quick commercial break because we'd like to share a little bit about Cielo Sober Living
Mhm.
really briefly, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Cielo Sober Living, a spiritual haven in Coachella Valley, featuring 12-step work, sound bath meditation, conscious recovery meetings, and other holistic practices to build a strong foundation. Michele Garcia brings value to the program with a holistic approach. She guides and supports residents with care and dedication. Meals are provided, and dinner is shared together each night. Experience a safe and nurturing environment that fosters growth and healing. To learn more about our transformative offerings at cielosoberliving.com or call 877-394-8355.
Yay!
We love your place, Michele. You do such great work there.
Thank
We
you.
we absolutely do. I want to take this opportunity to take a dive down. Why is mental health a priority?
Mm,
I think right now the priority is because we're realizing like there's so many sick people out there right now, like,
mhm.
Mm,
suffering. I mean, you see it with all the shootings, you see it with all the dysfunction within the, communities. Like you see people, I mean, look at the homeless rate alone right now, right? That's a huge sign of mental illness taking rampant in communities. You see it when you walk in those, down here we have it called Chinatown, but every town has their Chinatown, right? Where people are all drug infected and, doing drugs and buying drugs and selling drugs.
Yeah.
Everybody has that in their community, but mental illness is really starting to take over. It's really, and especially in today's world, in the United States and the climate where, we're being taught right now, it's better to have conflict and fight and win than being united as the United States. We're being trained right now to fight. Like when they say in trauma, fight, flight, or freeze, we're in crisis mode right now in this country, and it's feeding the mental illness is what it's doing. It's
Mm-hmm.
not healing it, it's feeding it.
because
And
it's traumatizing it. It's
yes, it's
traumatizing
It's a
us. It's
ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect, and the fact that we've already established, you both have already established very significantly that this is very much a trauma issue.
yes,
All of this is. So when you bring this into mental health, what are the things that we can do as individuals to start bringing better mental health into our lives? Because each of us need to be responsible, I think, for our own mental health. And
True.
we see that there's so many out there that are suffering and struggling with their mental health. So let's be an example and show them what it can look like. So I'd love to know, what are some of your mental health priority tools that you do when you get up? I mean, you live in Hawaii, so that's a big one.
Yeah, right.
I mean, just period.
So
Yeah.
let me, Nancy, let's see. I was just texting, my sponsor this morning, and we were going over this, about, and I still, 35 years sober, and I still work with a sponsor and,
Nice.
do the things that I need to do. Like I'm going to her house in an hour to go, do step work with her. And, she's got
Awesome.
44 years, right?
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
You
we
don't
both
stop
got
doing the work.
we were at a
Woo!
meeting last night together, a
Nice.
12-step meeting with my newcomer that just relapsed on Sunday and he has day one again. He
Mhm.
ended up going with us to the meeting last night. But
Beautiful.
but it's really about like you could really see it. It's the people like I was watching, social media and people are not afraid to attack other people publicly anymore. Like it used to be, if you had something negative about something, it would be called gossip, right? You would go behind their back and gossip about it. Oh, did you see so and so? And that's not healthy either. But we have excelled in this country where people are putting their hate in words on social media. So I don't care about what side you're on. None of that matters. We should be on one side, period, together.
A
That's
hundred
it,
Mhm.
percent.
one side.
One
But
side.
but when they talk about, the big gossip out there is Michelle and Barack Obama are getting divorced, and something was like, oh, learn what Michelle's doing now with her career. And there was thousands of comments. What is Michael doing? What is, calling it like a guy that's a woman? It's like the
Um,
hate that is out there right now. Like
oh,
a-
finally.
anybody that's doing that, like we all have our own perception and our own beliefs. But if you're sick enough to put it out there in that format, then you need this treatment. You need help. Like I don't go out there and express my personal beliefs on a platform that other people may have. It's okay to debate things. That's normal. But to put hate behind it, and that's what we're being trained to do right now. There's
Yeah.
so much hate that is going on from the leadership that is
Mhm.
teaching us to fight right now. Like, be hateful, be cruel, say those things, empowering people to do it. Those, I believe, are the people that need this kind of work the most.
Mhm.
And what I do for mine, like the doctor that we saw from LA, from California, she was freaking amazing. I wish had enough time to look up her name, but she was freaking amazing. And she wrote a book on trauma, and she's, one of she's within the government, but she said to deal with trauma, you have to make sure you get appropriate sleep, right? You have
That's so
to,
good.
I like that.
the appropriate sleep. You have to meditate, right? Meditate on a regular basis. So I got up this morning at 4 a.m.
Mhm.
and at 4:15, I meditated until 5 a.m. So I
Nice.
meditated 45
Wow.
minutes. I try to do it every single day, 45 minutes before I start my day.
Nice.
And then you spend time in nature. Then I walked up the mountain and took my dog for a hike up the mountain for an hour.
I love it.
So
That's
that was all before 7 a.m. I got home at
Nice.
7 a.m. and I took a shower and I went to exercise. I went to the gym and worked out with a trainer, which is another one, exercising. And
Mhm.
then nutrition is another big one. So, you know, eating the right foods, not eating junk foods, So I came home and I had my breakfast, I made some egg salad. And then, positive nourishing in relationships. What can you do to nourish relationships? Like,
mm,
what's the things there? And then the last one was mindfulness, right? So, the positive things in relationship is telling that sponsee he's doing a good job by surrendering and coming back after a 2-day relapse, right?
Right.
Positive nurturing in relationships, helping people realize they're doing the right thing. And encouraging them. And
Mhm.
then the mindfulness is what we were talking about earlier, is when things aren't working right in my life or in what I'm doing, being mindful of it and saying, this part of my life isn't working right now. So
Mhm.
how do I change gears to get it to work, to get to the result that I want for my life? So all of those things were listed on her thing. And I was like, these are the things I'm doing to be able to stay in recovery, stay healthy, and support others. If I'm not willing to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to meditate and go for a hike with my dog before my gym appointment at 8 a.m., then how can I expect somebody else to do that? Right?
I
How can
love
I?
Right.
it. What a
Yeah,
beautiful, I love, you're so, everything
It's so
that you
good.
just laid out on your life, the experience of a day is so holistic. It's totally treating your mind, your body, your soul. And there, you remember in Malibu when that was such a buzzword, everyone was saying their holistic treatment. It was like you walk in like, what is this? What, because you're on the coast, you're holistic? Where's the holistic? Come on, because I would tour places before I refer, and I'm like, what the hell? But really, that is truly like the essence of it all. What you're saying, what you're sharing there. It's truly beautiful, and I work to do that myself, because part of my recovery, is taking care of my physical well-being, my emotional, my spiritual, my joy and well-being. Just being with my dog when I go for a walk, it brings me so much joy just
yeah,
watching the joy she gets from it. And I know, we share in that, like dog lovers and all. It's just like a beautiful, emotional feeding to me too. So and then, of course, cognitive, learning something new, like you went to that conference and you're listening to these intelligent people who are out there learning more and giving more to the community to enhance. And then also looking at the negative that's happening on social media and going, this is not good. Let's do something, to be raise awareness that this isn't healthy.
yeah,
Negative talk and negative thoughts only creates more negative talk and
yeah,
negative thoughts, and it lowers the vibration frequency for all of us. If we live in an omnipresent field and we're all interconnected, that's affecting us all. And the only thing I can do is just try to, be an example. But sometimes I feel like I went to speak at a treatment center, and this girl said afterwards to the person who runs the center that had me talking, she's just so happy. She's just so and I was like, okay, that's really weird. But I think she liked me, but it was sort of like the funniest thing to get feedback, and hear. But it's a positive problem. But sometimes it really bothers people, that we're like happy, but it's, it is authentic. It's what I've got. So I try, when I'm not getting upset because somebody did something ridiculous at the house. But I work with that stuff, I work with
yeah.
that stuff.
We're working.
I
Um,
have to do the things you talked
yeah.
about, Ken, or I'll die.
So one of my favorite people out here, Paul McFarland, wants to know, what do you value more than money?
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
God, that's a good one. That's such a good one because
Woo! Thank
I don't
you.
value money at all, period. Like I was in, with 10 years sober, I was in a money addiction, like a workaholism and money
Hmm.
addiction, where I thought if I had $1 million in the bank and my rent was $800, I would be okay, where I wouldn't have to worry about paying my bills every month, right? Like I was always worried, can I afford my rent? Can I afford my car payment? I need a second
Yeah.
job.
Mhm.
And I worked with this therapist because I bought a gun on the internet to commit suicide with 10 years
Stop it.
sober.
No
I was,
way.
No
I was,
way.
I said, God, if that gun comes and I don't have a solution, because I ordered it
Yeah.
online, and this was what, 25 years ago. So I ordered it online. And when it came, I said, if I don't have a solution, I'm going to kill myself. And my therapist that I met after, I said, well, I'll do what the program teaches me, get outside help. So I found this therapist, and he just passed away. He was in LA, Dr. DeJarnett. And he helped me realize that I was in full-blown sex addiction and love addiction and money addiction and workaholism. And
Okay.
that's what brought me to my knees. And so when he made me realize that, I was like, you know what? I have a beautiful, beautiful 2-bedroom bungalow. It was like 500 square feet. It was right in LA, right by, a meeting was across the street at a senior center. And I was like, I'm in rent control. I could live here the rest of my life and I could pay my rent and my car payment working at Starbucks. So I don't need to have a career. I don't need to have money. I
Mhm.
could be comfortable because my dad retired as a fireman and they didn't have a lot when he retired, but they had each other and they were happy. And I was like, that's all I want, God, is I want to be happy. I don't need money to make me happy. My parents are fine and we always had excess. We went on trips all the time. We had a really good life, but it wasn't millions in the bank, which I thought I needed to have. And I said, I could die in this apartment and I could live the rest of my life here. And once I did that, and I said, and my mother said to me, I told her on her deathbed when she was dying, I said, you're the reason I'm successful because I used
Mhm.
to run the West Hollywood Alcohol and Drug Center and I made $310 a week by managing it.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
and my mother said, you were the happiest running that West Hollywood Alcohol and Drug Center. And I've never seen you that happy. I said, yeah,
Wow.
Mom, but I was always broke. I was like, it's a nonprofit. There was no money in it. And she goes, it doesn't matter. You were happy. And
Wow.
so I took that and I took what I learned from my therapist and I said, I'm going to help people in recovery because recovery is what makes me the happiest. And so I started helping people get into recovery. And then I learned about interventions. So I gave up on money. Money doesn't buy anything. Money buys
Comes and
comfort.
goes. Yeah.
It comes and goes. It buys comfort, but it doesn't buy saneness. It doesn't buy, happiness. It doesn't buy any of those things. So what I realized in that moment is that helping people is what's going to make me happy. And
Mm.
so I
I get the
started doing
chills.
interventions when I learned helping people to get into recovery. And I learned, I didn't even know that was a career. And then I learned it was a career. And then I got trained in doing it. And then I got really good at doing it. And then I had to hire new interventionists and train new interventionists. And it just exploded. And the money showed up in ways that I never could imagined. And, so I don't really put a value on money. I put a value on, like, I don't care if you go to Starbucks and you work every day serving coffee. If you could make that customer's experience the best experience in that day, you are going to bring happiness into your life. And
100%.
you're
Yeah.
go- you're gonna explode to the next level, whatever you do. Because I was answering the phones at a treatment center, making $8 an hour to afford my $800 rent. So I was doing exactly that. I was just doing something that made me happy, and feeding my soul, and it exploded where the money showed up.
I
So
love that. That's a gorgeous story.
That
I
is
want to
so
cry.
good.
Like I
That is
literally
so
want
good.
and Ken, to side note, the first meeting I went to in my life was West Hollywood Drug and Alcohol Center. And
no.
it, swear to God, and it literally changed my life because I heard what I needed to hear to identify and be like, wow, that this, there's this thing that like could work. And my uncle told me go. I was restless, irritable, and discontent at work. Right below it, because my uncles owned a store, they had interventioned me to come live with them because I was having crazy life. And yeah, and that's what happened. I went up there and I just heard the message, and thank God it was free from like things that it could have made me prejudiced, but I like heard it so clear. Like the guy was like, yeah, I have a mental obsession and I keep thinking about it until I do it. And then once I ingest it, I have a physical allergy and I can't stop until one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. And then I do things that hurt my spirit. And it's just threefold. And it was just like on, and I was like, oh my God, like I really just had the aha moment that I
And where
needed.
was that one? Where?
It was on Santa Monica Boulevard above Greenwich Village.
Oh yes, I mean, we used to see celebrities at that one. Not
Oh
that's it
yeah,
was
Elton John. Oh,
yeah,
I don't think he'll mind I mentioned. There's a million other, but I saw his Rolls Royce, and I was like, oh my God.
yes.
And I remember thinking, oh, that's so neat. Cause I didn't know, I was like, all these different people are actually sober. Like anyone could be sober. It's like, there wasn't much of a stigma that was bad for me from what I was getting and seeing, and it was really cool to be sober. I was young still. I was like in my early 20s. So it was like, thank God that like all these other people were so in it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I was like 26 when I got sober, and that's where I went to the noon meeting there almost every day at that
Oh my
drug and alcohol
gosh.
center. And then
Yeah.
when it moved to the other location on Crescent Heights, that's
Yeah.
when I started working there. So
Nice.
that
That's like that. It's cool.
I love it. So Joe Steiker says he loves the reminder that the work is never done.
no,
Thank you. And I just am grateful that you have brought work forward that helps us to
Oh,
be a better
I
human, just to
I
be
know.
better, just to be better humans, And I absolutely think that that right there is amazing. But the fact that you followed your heart
Yes.
and your passion, and that
And
through
then
that,
that in
but it
that is
didn't,
abundance. In that
yeah,
money comes to you because
woo, lots
you
of it,
are in alignment with your
heart
purpose.
abundance.
And your mom and the story of her noticing that for you with you and you getting to be there for her the way you were before she passed just recently. And a sober man that has accomplished so much. I think I heard a story. I don't know if this is true, Ken, but when you got your Bentley, you got it because you had told your mom that you'd always wanted one. You kind of just like wanted to just like have one because because you could.
no, it's similar to that. John Southworth, he went out, and we had a friend that was in our sober living that ended up running the Bentley store in Palm Springs. And he goes, I could
I
get
know
you in
him.
a yeah, he goes, I could get you in a Bentley for what you pay for your other lease. And we were like, no, you can't. And so we went down there, and John went without me. We were going to go down together. And I said, I want a white on white one if he could get us a really good deal on it. And John went down there without me and got the white on white.
Oh my gosh.
And then the next day I was like, there was a party, and I went to the party at the dealership, and he said, here, take this one home. And he goes, just drive it for the night. And I was like, I loved picking up my parents in it, and
Oh,
chauffeuring them
sweet.
around. And,
Uh-huh.
so I came home and I was like, Eric, it costs the same as the other leases that we have. It's only a little bit more. And it was a stupid decision. I was like,
Oh, it's sweet. Oh my God. I know the kid that manages that Bentley
That's super
store.
cool.
He went through your center, and I don't know
yes,
because he came to my sober house back when it was in Sky Valley, and he was with a group of people that came to one of my parties,
yep.
and I was like, he became like the best salesperson, and then all of a sudden managing it and running it, and he went through your center. That's so cool. And then you end
Now he
up
runs
buying
all
something.
of them. Now he runs all of them over there in
Yeah.
the high
It.
end cars. So
Yeah.
That
actually,
is
we just got a car from him recently. We got our car from over
Nice.
there recently. It was a Defender, not a Bentley, but we got a Defender, and he, because he oversees all those car dealerships there.
Yeah.
And
That's
then we
so
shipped it
cool.
to Hawaii. So we still stay in contact with him. He's a great guy.
I love that.
I
It's
love that.
nice,
Well,
nice to support each other. I mean,
Yeah.
well, we're coming to the end. We're coming to the top of the hour, so we're going to close out.
yeah,
I would just want to leave a message of appreciation and gratitude to those that are watching.
Yeah.
Hopefully what you've heard today is that it's a choice and that you get to make it and that you're the one making it. And hopefully what you've heard today is that you can take control of your mind, your body, and your spirit. And hopefully what you've heard today is that there's people out there who are willing and are helping you, like Ken, like Michele, who stand in this space of love and respect for all of those who have walked this path, who are looking for, I mean, you guys, the things that you're doing for people out there who have struggled is amazing. And for me, my heart just is so grateful to both of you. And I want to thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and if you see yourself writing negative comments, I don't care if you're on the right or the left. I don't care what side you're on. If you're writing
Mm,
those negative comments and be, bullying people or be, treating them less than human, like talking really dirty stuff. If you're doing that, I would invite you to use the mindfulness to say, why am I doing this? Number one. And do I want to be this kind of person? And how can I change it? And I'm seeing it now. The left never used to be that way, but I'm seeing even the left writing negative stuff about people.
I am
So,
too. Yeah,
you know,
sadly.
at whatever side you're on, if you think it's okay to be public and nasty and hateful and attack people in any form, you know, it's really bullying. And that's why it's so sensitive to me. I lived it for 10 years and, you know, almost killed me because I was suicidal that whole 10 years. I just wanted to
Yeah.
die. And
Wow.
I
so
imagine so.
if
I
you're
imagine so. I
doing
bet that
that,
was hard.
take the mindfulness approach and be aware of it, number one, and do what Debbie said and take action. Because I know in
Yeah.
your heart you don't want to be that person. Nobody wants to be that person.
Nobody
Take
does.
action. Take
Yeah, I think
take the first step.
beautiful. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think encouraging people to be leaders and not followers. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in, you know, the majority is going into being these like herd of people with a negative stream and flow of words. And, you know, just to be able to be the leader and have your own voice of truth and allow it to come from a more God-centered place. And I'm not trying to
Yes.
be like religious, godly, or whatever. Just like when I say God, I just mean good, the good in you. Reach
Yes.
down into like, you know, or just even positive, you know, like
Mhm.
whatever, you know, it is that comes to you. And if you can pause and notice, like, wow, that doesn't really serve me or anyone. Well, let me like allow myself to have another thought, discernment, you know, like, you know, we learn to do in business and or healthy relationships, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they're built on being able to think past the first thought and then decide what's in the highest good, right? And then, you know, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Ken, because it makes the world a better place. And, you know, both you, Debbie, are such humanitarians. I'm so honored to get to have a talk with you today. These are the kind of conversations that I think are uplifting and really fuel people with the kind of, you know, conversations that stem from it, I hope, that are, you know,
Yeah.
life enriching. You know,
Yes.
yeah. And I mean, people can reach you. You know, I know you're still available because I visited him in Hawaii, and being retired was fun for him after having traveled. He said, I think for 2 years, but he was bored and wanted to do something else. God bless you,
Okay.
Ken. I'm like,
Yes.
so I know that he still wants to help people and is available. Maybe you could share how that
Yeah,
is.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right on
Yeah.
intervention911.com. You could reach me, you know,
Okay.
anything, you know. If there's a way, like I'm trying to look at the bigger side, like, you know, yeah, I always like when the intervention TV show happened, I was like, oh, I love what I do in the living rooms of people, but it's only helping small amount, that one immediate family. And I was like, if this could
Mm.
be televised, then it would could help millions. And that ended up
Right.
happening. Millions of people understood what an intervention was after the show.
Thank
So
God.
I want to learn like new ways. Like that's why I went to that event on Friday with the governor, because, you know, if you think 1 out of 3 people are in some form of trauma, I want to, I want my next career, my next way of living is to be where we could help people before it gets to addiction and mental health issues. You know,
Yes.
let's
Oh,
catch
heck
it
yeah.
early,
Yes,
right?
light
Let's
to that,
go.
light, yes,
Right?
Woo!
yes.
Absolutely.
Let me
I
know
love it.
what comes up. I'll support it.
Yeah,
100%.
right. Absolutely. Hands
I'm on board
down.
with that. Yeah.
That's it. Get it before it even starts. I'm 100%. Mental health should be a priority in teaching our youth
Yep. Yep.
how to regulate.
Mhm.
Yep.
Regulators. We're going to be regulators. We're all going to be regulators. So, um, we'll see you guys. We'll see you all again. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on the replay, please like and subscribe and share. Ken Seeley, you rock.
You
Thank you
rock.
for all that you do. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, ladies. It was so good to
Thank
see
you.
you both. Thank you.
Big
Love you.